Good day, everyone. Today is the start of the 10th week of 9.1. I guess yesterday was so for NA. This is also, by the way, the start of September. Just throwing it out there for the record. What we're going over is the continued warpath that Blizzard set itself on since the announcement of 9.1.5. This warpath of announcing good, great even, quality of life changes, improvements for the game left and right. Not only we have new additions for 9.1.5, but also we have hotfixes that have gone live yesterday or today, right now, that are going to improve your experience in the game. Now, we have already went through the main changes of this 0.5 patch, and we also talked about, especially in more detail in yesterday's video, about what could this mean for Blizzard. Could this be Blizzard turning a new page, moving on to a new chapter of their life, being some sort of anime bad guy character who has been beaten with the power of friendship by the main character and has realized the error of its ways? So now he's gonna turn into a good guy and no longer do the old bad things he was doing before. Or if this was just an emergency button, if this was just Blizzard reacting to the pressure of the community that had kept mounting up very heavily in the last few weeks, but even if we look further back, even in the past few years, this sort of distrust and frustration towards the Blizzard devs had kept growing and growing, and this was like, okay guys, we have to do something, let's just pull this patch out. But then we are gonna lure players back into the game, and then as soon as 9.2 comes in, with the players coming back, gotcha, bitch! We're gonna bring back all of the old systems, we're gonna keep using these time gating, these clunky systems, grindy systems to keep you into the game as long as possible, and then remove them 6 months later. I guess it sucks, but for now, all we can do regarding this question is just sit and wait to see how the development continues. The only other thing we can see from where we are standing is the additions that Blizzard is planning to put and has already put into the game for this next patch. So the first thing in order of changes that is going to come, and also one of these things is already hotfixed in game, is the thing related to being able to respec to different covenants with no cooldown, no restrictions. Of course, this creates an issue. Because you can play between all 4 of them, you will need redeemed souls to level up the buildings in each of the covenants. You will need anima for each and every single of the covenants. What about the weekly quests? What about the covenant-specific building chains that can give you specific daily quests and specific weekly quests? How's that gonna work out? What about the renown? In 9.1.5, you won't just need 80 renown with your main covenant, you will also need an extra 240 renown split amongst the 3 other covenants. So all of these questions will need answers, and it's likely that Blizzard will try to find out ways to shorten this process. The first of the processes seem to be aimed in at around anima and covenant buildings, because first of all, in 9.1.5, Blizzard is going to work on a repeatable quest for redeemed souls. Not just that, but also upping this weekly quest to always award you 20 redeemed souls. So if you respec to a different covenant, you won't have to go through the first quest that gives you 5, and then the one that gives you 10, and then the one that gives you 15, until eventually you get the one that gives you 20, which makes sense because in 9.1.5 you will be able to constantly respec among them, so it would take you literally over 3 months to be able to get all 3 of your new covenants that you can respec to get you 20 redeemed souls weekly. And then there is of course the problem that you still need a bunch of them. If you had to wait every week to get just 20 for 3 different covenants, it would take you months to have the souls needed to get all of the buildings. So they are working on this repeatable quest for redeemed souls. I guess, as someone has pointed out, I agree with them, because you will be needing so many more souls, it would be good if Blizzard, started making some sort of clusters, of 3 to 5 souls available in the Mo. Maybe make them even available in Korthia, because nowadays it's not that people want to go into the Mo every day or to do these quests. You might as well just make these available in Korthia as well. That's the first thing. The second thing is the one related to anima. So I would say, without gauging too much of the community perception on this, I would still say that the easiest suggestion that players would be making related to anima and to the future of being able to play all covenants is to make it player-wide, to make it unrestricted between covenants. So if I have 30,000 anima with Necrolord and I respec to Night Fae, I still have 30,000. If I spend 20,000 with Night Fae and I go down to 10,000, if I respec to Ventir, then I only have 10,000 left. Make it so that you can just choose when to spend your anima, whichever the covenant you are choosing. This is also going to make it easier and smoother, for example, because right now, whenever you want to deposit your anima, all of the anima is going to be deposited at once. So what happens if you want to give 15,000 anima to the Kyrian because you just need 15,000 and then 10,000 anima to the Necrolord? You would have to wait after a certain number of anima, stop there, go back to your Kyrian, deposit all of the anima, and then reach the 10,000 anima you needed, respec to Necrolord, and deposit it in. You know, it's sort of clunky, right? It's sort of counterintuitive and slow in the way it works. For now, Blizzard is not doing this type of allowing anima to be essentially covenant-wide. The two changes they are planning to add is number one, the hotfix, which has gone already live, which is putting anima at a cap of 200,000 instead of 35,000. This is somewhat still confusing, given that you don't even have 200,000 worth of stuff that you would want to buy, especially if you have already maxed out your covenant buildings. You know, there isn't much left for you, so okay, fine. Now I don't have to keep it all in my banks. I don't get triggered every time I get my bags that start to get filled with all this anima. I have somewhere to store it. The problem is, after I stored it, it's still completely useless. So it's not really changing much. That's not really fixing too much of anything. The second change is the one that could help with this, which is the plan to make anima transferable to alts. As they announced, we intend to introduce a way for anima to be transferred to alts from characters who have fully upgraded their Covenant Sanctum in patch 9.1.5. So somewhat similar, likely, to the way you can currently trade with a bind on account item Soul Ash to your alt characters. You will probably go in a similar way, so you would have to lose like 15% of your anima if you wanted to trade it. The question I would have is, what if you did it twice? What if Blizzard ups the anima available to 200,000 as a cap? You take all of that anima you stored with your main covenant, the Necrolord, and you send it to your alt. Then your main respecs from Necrolord to Ventir, and your alt sends the anima back. So you can move it from Necrolord to Ventir. If Blizzard doesn't make anima covenant-wide, this seems like a pretty easily exploitable system to be able to move the anima between different covenants on the same character. But for now, these two seem to be the only change related to anima we have gotten in the last couple of days as extra info for the next patch. One thing we have to mention though, as a big problem related around this whole anima thing, is this piece of shit right here. These grateful offerings. Because not only initially at the start of Shadowlands people were complaining that not only do you have to be exalted, or maybe do you have to grind to reach a certain level, then you also have to dunk a lot of anima to unlock things like mounts, transmog sets, items, toys and pets with your reward vendors. After a while this became irrelevant because people started swimming in anima. Anima no longer became an issue. Which means that now we're gonna have to move on to the next problem. Now that we have the anima to buy all of this stuff, what we don't have is Grateful Offerings. Grateful Offering is the reward that is given to you whenever you play around with your Covenant's anima conductor. The one you can click every day to spawn something like a world quest, a daily quest, a cache, a rare that you get to defeat in exchange for Grateful Offerings. This is a problem because it's not really something very fun to do, very enjoyable to do, and might become even worse in 9.1.5 if you consider that you can play 4 different covenants. So you can literally go Necrolord, enable the anima conductor to do the activity for the Grateful Offering, then go Ventir and do the same. The main problem with this garbage of a currency is that it is not used by any other activity. You get into the game, you might do Mythic Plus, you might do raids, you might do your daily Cortia grind, you might go back to the mall because you need redeemed souls, maybe you have to do the bi-weekly assault or the Tormentors of Torghast, maybe you have to get into Torghast, maybe you even want to go and do emissaries, and then you also go and do your Covenant specific building type of activity like the Path of Ascension or the Ember Court, okay? In everything that I mentioned, the amount of Grateful Offerings you're going to be getting is 0, which means you have to go out of your way to do a type of activity that is entirely done just for Grateful Offerings. This was one of my wish lists for 9.1.5 to condense the amount of stuff you have to do to obtain certain types of currencies, like make you be able to get Valor at the same time as Renown, at the same time as maybe Soul Ash, and then Soul Cinders should be available together with Anima, and then maybe whatever you do to get Archivist Research should also give you some Valor points. Grateful Offerings should be part of the same system, should not be part of a single limited activity that you have to do exclusively for Grateful Offerings. Otherwise, nobody's gonna give a shit. People just won't have the resistance, the mental resistance to go 3 months of daily Anima Conductor quests and chests and rares just to get a single transmog set. It's just gonna take too long for an activity that doesn't reward you for enough. So either, point one, make Grateful Offerings be awarded from content you actually want to do by yourself, and not because it awards only the Grateful Offering, or number two, get rid of the Grateful Offerings. Make people be able to buy the transmog sets from the Covenants or the mounts or the toys just with Anima and no longer with this addition. That would be one of my wishes, together with all of the other quality of life things you can put for Anima, now that you can play 4 different Covenants. One other quality of life change, this one is going to be a hotfix, so already in-game, is the one related to the Shards of Domination. This is worth pointing out because people have gotten quite confused about this. So, Blizzard tried to explain this by saying, with regional restarts, all the Domination gear will now activate a gem set bonus, so not just your helmet for your Unholy set only, and then Sanctum of Domination legs for all armor types now activate a gem set bonus. The explanation, of course, is requiring a specific slot from the raid to take advantage of the set bonus is proving to be too elusive for some players, even with the assistance from the Great Vault. So because people have been confused about this, the legs that can now activate a set bonus do not have a socket. This change does not mean that the legs will now have a Domination shard slot. It doesn't mean that you go from having 5 gem slots to having 6 gem slots. It doesn't mean that now you can use 3 Unholy Shards and 3 Blood Shards in your set and gain double set bonus. The only thing the pant slot, the leg slot, is going to do is enable the set. So it's to help you make it even more sure that you can enable a set bonus. Just in case, for example, you only have 2 slots available. You have 2 slots, one is the bracers, one is the bracer, one is the helmet. You don't have enough, the pen slot will now work as if you have a socket, will count as if you have a socket of that color, just so you can get the set bonus. Before, you would have gotten 1 blood shard on the bracers, 1 blood shard on the helmet, it's just 2 of them, not enough to get the set bonus. With this change, if you also have the pants, you're not gonna get the blood set bonus, because it's gonna count as 1. You still won't get the shard itself, you still will be playing with 2 shards instead of 3, so you're basically weaker, but at the very least now you will have the set bonus. So it's basically just to help the very unlucky people who haven't gotten one, or simply people who don't raid normally, so they have a harder time being able to find these pieces to give the set bonuses. Now you get an extra one basically to help you for that. Now the last bit of information for the week is going to be related to knowing now our full 3-month rotation of Mythic Plus. As pointed out last week, we had 4 slots left. We were missing Inspiring, Quaking, Sanguine and Necrotic, and we did not know how they were going to combine. We assumed that the last week of the rotation would have been what transpired in the last week of the 9.1 PTR before it launched, which was Tyrannical, Bowstring and Explosive, and it's gonna stay that way. What I assumed / hoped last week was for Inspiring to go together with Quaking and for Sanguine to go together with Necrotic. Luckily, it happened just that. The reason why this is cool is because Necrotic and Sanguine work very similarly, especially if they are paired with Fortified. Naturally, if you're a tank and you jump in a pack during Fortified, you're gonna use your initial cooldowns, and then once the cooldowns are about to drop off, you're gonna bail out and start kiting. Now that Fortified is paired with Necrotic, you are going to do the same thing. you're gonna get 30 to 40 stacks of Necrotic and you start to run away. Sanguine is gonna work in the same way. By the time it takes the tank to get 30 to 40 stacks, the first mobs are gonna start dying, which means you wanna start kiting so that the rest of the pack doesn't sit inside a Sanguine pool. So the three affixes at the very least work pretty well together. Not really too much synergy between Inspiring and Quaking. It's not that putting them together makes them stronger or harder. The only thing that's worth mentioning, however, is that this is the first time since the start of Shadowlands that we are going to get Necrotic in the same week as Fortified. Necrotic was locked in Tyrannical Week last season. Inspiring has been moved in both Tyrannical and Fortified. Quaking has been moving around between Tyrannical and Fortified, and Sanguine also moved around between Fortified and Tyrannical, except for Necrotic. So this is going to be the first week, I guess next week, where you will have to experience Necrotic and Fortified together, which is kind of a nasty combo. Necrotic with Tyrannical can be somewhat annoying. There are certain bosses that make it slightly harder to drop Necrotic. However, it isn't certainly as annoying as it is to play Necrotic during Fortified weeks. So we'll have to see just how bad it's going to be. Luckily, it's not paired with too annoying of an affix, because Sanguine is pretty manageable. So yay. So this was all we had to look for today. I am still particularly interested to see and to observe what Blizzard is going to do when it comes to basically the handling of Anima and the handling of the Covenants, now that you will be able to play in all four of them. You know, being able to make it easy and simple enough to play all four of them, that it won't feel like a drag one way or another, whether it's the Redeemed Souls they are planning to fix, or the amount of Anima you will have to get, because now it will have to be for 3 extra Covenants, being able to actually put the Anima in all these 3 different Covenants whenever you want to, the Renown needed for all 3 Covenants. So it's gonna be interesting to see what is going to be their course of action for these changes. For now, however, we can stop here. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you've enjoyed the content, you can leave a like, comment down below, and then you can try to click on the subscribe button after you have closed your eyes and try to click on it blind. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, I made this entire video when I knew I had to go pee, and now I really fucking have to. Bye!